global advertiser for innovative outdoor solutions.
Global as a company, it has never compromised on its service quality and commitment.
Good morning, everyone. Today we are at a webinar where we are going to decode the sales and marketing. And it's a pleasure to have all the stalwarts across industry, from laminates to cement to carpet flooring to construction equipment. So to begin with, Meraj has been a very good friend, and he has always dabbled from marketing, sales, and then you started your career way back 20 years, and one of the feather in the cap is you were in the chairman's office handling all the communications from Reliance, and from there you have come to Welspun today.
That's right.
That's right. So it's exciting journey, I suppose. Miraj, my question to you is, the industry was dominated by all the multinationals, global leaders like American, Shaw, Interface, and all these guys for last 20 years. And there were many people in India who tried to manufacture carpet. And every time they used to come to us, we used to try a product, and the product used to fail. And in such kind of a market where everybody had tried everything, taking a plunge into this industry where there were already players who were established, servicing the industry last 20 years, and there was a trust deficit on Indian manufacturers. How did you decide to enter this? And from a marketing perspective, what did you plan, and how did you see the industry before plunging into this?
Sure. Hello, everyone. Hope everyone is safe and everyone's loved ones are safe. It's very important these days. So yeah, I'll begin with that. Secondly, it's a very interesting question. Look, so I'll first get into the DNA of Welspun to arrive at the answer. So, Welspun itself is not a very old company. I mean, 85 is when we started off, and we started off very small, and today, we are doing pretty well and in the Fortune 500 Indian companies and stuff like that. So how we've done it, that quality and innovation has always been in our DNA. I'll give you an example. Indian-made products are largely sold in either African countries or Southeast Asian countries. Take any example like a Bajaj or a Tata, because they don't meet the global standards of quality. So hence they are in third world countries. Whereas Welspun, if you look at the way we have made the business by exporting and being suppliers to the names like Macy's, Walmart's, Costco's, we supply our bed sheets and towel, home textile or linen to these guys, and they put their own branding and sell it across the world, Europe and US, which itself is a great mark of quality. So quality is always in our DNA, the point that I'm making. So that's one. Second, manufacturing is the other part, which we have a very, very big manufacturing part in our DNA. It's like the plant in Anjar, and the plant is like huge, and how we've come up with this kind of success. So quality and innovation in terms of the products that we have, in terms of the trademarks that we have or patents that we have, things like hydro cotton, which dries very fast on its own and things like that. So innovation, quality, manufacturing, these are the three big pillars. Now, see, look, as you rightly said, the carpet industry, and we have both B2B and B2C. I'll take B2B first. as you said, was dominated or was dominated by players like Interface, Milliken Shaw, which are the stalwarts. Since yarn and textile and stuff, we were already there. We came up with this whole idea of why not an Indian player? Because what was happening was what we learned, we did some research across the country and we learned and we bought some research and we learned that there are a few gaps in the market that nobody is filling up. The most important gap is that, of course, the expenses or the costs are very high because the import duties are a part of it. So that's one part of it. The second is that there's a huge lag time because material is shipped from either Southeast Asian countries or, the US or even the Europe manufacturing base. So that is a lag time. So projects get delayed and, people have issue there. The third part is the designs. You cannot have exclusive designs which are what you want. You have a certain kind of catalog and then that's what you follow. So these are a few things which, made us decide that there is a huge deficit. There's a huge need for a player to get into this kind of scheme of things for both B2B and B2C. When I'm saying B2B, carpet tiles and wall-to-wall carpets, carpet tiles primarily for office, wall-to-wall primarily for hospitality, banquet halls and things. So that's when we started to think of setting up a unit here. This part of the world, I can easily say there are no manufacturer doing both soft and hard flooring. And we have already started talking to, and ambitions are global, not just India. And
what was your launch plan? There were already people who had relationships. So this industry completely work on relationships. I had relationship with Milliken Shaw, Interface, everybody. But getting somebody who's new in the market was little doubtful.
Sure. So a couple of things became very important. Get the best from the industry became very important. So what we did so we have set up a US office as well. So we got stalwarts from Mohawk, people who have worked in Mohawk for 30 years and Interface. We got designers from these 3 big companies. In India also, we did the same. We got a consultant long ago who was heading Interface in India. He joined us much before, the moment the inception happened, he joined in and started giving. So getting the right resource is very important, those who know the market. And then started building relationship because Welspun already is a name to kind of reckon with. So we started building relationships with, the major PMCs and, architect houses, architects. And then, of course, started making relationship with the corporates. I mean, because corporates is one of our target areas. So like, and because, the management has already got some association with these guys. It was not very difficult, but getting the right resource, building contacts much before you start production, because we started production just about, if you ask me. And initially the project was supposed to take off in Gujarat, in Anjar, but then we shifted the base to Hyderabad because of the warm welcome we got from the Telangana government. So that delayed the project a bit. That also gave us time to build relationship. So yeah, those were the things that we did. In terms of B2C, we launched in 2 cities. We did a pilot because, you don't do a big bang launch because you will understand a few things once you launch in a couple of markets. So we did a couple of market launch, Hyderabad and Bangalore, in November, December, Jan, and we saw some amazing results. We just did digital, print, and outdoor. We didn't do TV, although I've shot a complete TVC with Big B, Amitabh Bachchan, which we will be releasing just prior to Diwali. So, but we didn't do TV. We didn't spend a lot. We just learned from the launch what are the things. Now we'll be doing a 10 cities sort of a launch in the next couple of months' time, 3 months' time. Hopefully, the market also kind of supports us on that. So yeah, that's how we went about thinking. And
that's very interesting. So it took probably how many years pre-launch that you invested time?
2.5, 3 years almost. 3 years.
Okay. Next question is for Mr. Atul Desai. He's a very interesting man who has navigated from chemicals to cement, and believe me, he stayed with a cement company for I think 30 years odd. And unless you really don't prove your metal, you cannot sustain an organization for 30 years. So from a marketing guy to an operations guy, back into marketing, amazing journey. And then today he is the CEO of RMC, which was possibly the first company in India to come in ready-mix concrete. So Atul, I want to ask you something very important. You know, you have been successful in terms of launching the biggest cement brand in our country, because Ambuja Cement, and thereafter you launched something which was Reliance Cement, and Reliance Cement came in possibly when there were a legacy of brands like ACC and Ambuja already in the market. You know, and taking that kind of a bold step in launching a brand which is not known to anybody, you know, was something really a brave heart can do. So what was your journey in terms of what gave you the courage to launch Reliance Cement? You are on mute, Atul. We cannot hear you.
Sorry. Good afternoon to everyone, and it's a great honor to be with all of you. The question what Swapnil you ask is very interesting for me also. If you really see, when we launch Reliance Cement in central India, it was the leading brands were well established from generations, and it was a very challenging situation at that point of time. So the first thing what we did is it's not a one single liner strategy what we follow, but it's like a one basket of a multiple strategy, multiple activities are bundled together at a one time to really build up our own brand and create a niche for us. And when I talk about the cement marketing, according to me, cement marketing is more of a channel management, brand building, and logistic game. So we have to play all three things in a proper way if you really want to build up a brand and disrupt the market. Channel management is very important, and channel management is basically to be built with a proper blend of a push and pull. While we talk about a push is very much relevant because ultimately channel management, the channel needs three things according to me. One is a comfort, second is convenience, and third is assurance. Now, if you play three things together well, then the channel, you can win the channel. So the first we talk about, let's talk about comfort. And when we say comfort means the customer should come to the shop. The pool has to be created. If you have reasonably good pool in a marketplace and customer is visiting to the shop, then you win the half of the battle. So a lot of comfort has been created. Comfort can be also created with a better transparency. If our dealer network or our channel partner do not have to waste time or to convince the customer, is most happy. If the stock rolling is happening, is most happy. So comfort we have provided. Second is the convenience. Now convenience can be given by our team. We have to build up a very friendly approach with the channel partner. Means our people should be a friend. In fact, we have to build a very friendly approach, very convenient, use the IT support in such a fashion that their accounting will be the most easiest thing. So if they say that in a Reliance, if their account statement is coming, you need not require to worry. You just sign off and focus on your business. All accounting will be handled by us. So a lot of convenience has been built up. And third is assurance, because ultimately when he is replacing some brand with you, they want to see it from the long-term perspective, whether the company is a right to be with or not. So we have given a three big assurance to our channel partner. If you deal with us, your business will grow year after year. Second, we have given assurance that if you deal with us, your profit will grow year after year. And third, when you deal with us, your prestige will go up. So at least your shop goodwill will go up, because ultimately customer will be happy, and you will not only deal with the cement, but you are dealing with so many other products also. So your goodwill of a cement dealing will be, you can encash in dealing with other product. So this is a great initiative what we did it to win the channel partner. But the most important thing is how do we really create a customer pool, because without a pool, the first C will not be available to the customer channel partner. So a lot of things has been built up to build up a brand and creating the pool. Starting with the product, we realize that in a cement, the customer perceives the quality of a product on the basis of the one-day strength. Because the next day when he comes to the site and he see that solid cement becomes solid, then he's comfortable. Now, although technically 28 days strength or long-term strength is very important, but the first impression is a one-day strength. So even a mason is very, very relevant. And mason after next day when he comes back to the site, he just stretch the nail on a wall, and if it is a solid, then he's happy. He says, "This is a badhiya cement." Okay, that certification is required of what you says 24 hours. After that, I think is a perception.
So it's a perceived strength that you are playing
Perceived
with.
strength. So it's like you have to run fast on the first 24 hours. Okay. So that's we have designed the product in such a fashion that on first 24 hours, our strength generation will be better than our competitors, at least 10% more. Second, in a cement, the most important, because cement is a powder. Okay. So the branding can be done with a proper packaging, because ultimately if you provide a better packaging, then it is being easily perceived as a better product. So we are the first company who has basically introduced 100% of production into the high-end packaging, that is Eddie-Star bag. Now, other companies, historically they were doing for only limited 5%, 10% of premium product only. But we took a decision that no, we will launch 100% of production at a premium level, and that was a big a talk at that point of time, that how can you build up such a big a premium product market. And we did it with the Eddie-Star bag. The advantage of Eddie-Star bag was there was very less sippages, so customer will get a full weight. The customer, there is no wastage in a transportation, so that's a great value created in the mind of a customers. For the dealer network, their shop becomes more cleaner. So normally the cement shop is always dirty, but if it is our brand, their shop is very clean. So that's a differentiation what we have created in the mind of a network.
Atul, can I ask something? Sorry.
Sure.
Yeah.
It's open.
Yeah. So how did it reflect on the retail rates for the end customer? How did you absorb this cost of high-end packaging? How did it reflect in the cost?
See, in a market where we launch, the gap between the different brands means there was a brand 1 to the brand 5. The gap was 35 rupees per bag. And if we want to launch at the brand 1, even if the cost is 3 to 4 rupees more, if we match at the brand 1 level, we can be happy that brand 4 and 5, which is available at 35 rupees cheaper. So that's a launch strategy.
Got it.
So margins were good, I suppose.
Margins were good.
Yeah.
And you did not invest time more on outward media while launching it. You focused more inward in terms of convincing your channel partner rather than advertising and marketing.
So advertising also been supportive, because ultimately a dealer wants comfort. So if you are not advertising, they feel that you don't want to spend money.
Yeah.
For that dealer satisfaction also, you have to keep a reasonable good advertising, but we have not, I would say it was not extra spend as compared to a new product launch.
Sure.
So that's a one
Very
more
interesting.
point. And we were the first people to really introduce the online sales in cement industry. And each of our bag was having a QR code. So that's a different, that was a innovation what we did it, that each and every bag of our product is being certified by us. And the market where we launch, there was a huge issue of adulteration because Bihar, UP, MP, these are the area where a lot of problem of adulteration. So that authenticity of product we established with the QR
So you
code.
strategically also decided that you would launch in this specific market.
Yeah, see, it's a logistic game. See, in fact, if our plant was in a mid of the MP, so logistically, these are the market where we have to launch. So that's another area what we talk about. And online sales, it was although it is a contradictory to the channel partner, because our channel will always feel that tomorrow you are throwing me out.
Sure.
But we use an online sales model for establishing the price and building up the transparency of our retail price in the market. So what happened is when we declare our price on pin code wise across the, our all area of operation, the channel partner, instead of competing with the other brand's price, they declare in that fashion to the customer to convince the customer that they are charging right price. They show our price on a net. This is the price of the Reliance. If you want to purchase from the company, this is a price. But I am getting some discount. I am passing on some part of a discount. So my price is lower than company's price.
Fantastic.
The whole game we have changed, that our dealer will not compete with the other brand's price. They will compete with our own company's price.
I'm wondering if in our services sector somebody can do this, because we're always competing with each other's price. And nobody knows the real cost of our service.
Yeah.
So with this, I want to go for the first poll question. I want to understand the audience mix, because that's how we can take the questions ahead. Kunal, can we have a first poll question?
Sorry? Okay.
Poll.
Poll question.
Which industry do you belong to? Design, contracting, manufacturing, or trading? Contracting means all, yeah. If people can answer this, we'll get the poll and we'll understand how many designers are there and how many manufacturers, how many traders, and how many contractors are there.
That's right. So one more innovation what we did was in our market is we hired large number of a customer support team. Most of the people talk about, oh fine, most of the manufacturing team is 73% is the manufacturing.
The manufacturers are there.
Yeah, more of
design.
that. Design that. Good.
Fantastic.
So the one more important thing what we did is customer support. See, it was most of the people hired salesperson. We have hired more of a customer support people. So they go in the market and not talk about a brand. They only talk about how to make a better construction out of our cement. So it's a very high end of services we launch. And that is really, I would say, make a difference. So my takeaway is like all the brands were positioned at a particular a niche location. But we said we have the perfect blend of all. And so we said is a perfect packaging, is a perfect thing, perfect product. So we are the perfect cement. So positioning was a perfect cement, not on strength or not on a generation or any other things. So that makes a difference. And we are fortunate that market and customer has responded, believe in us, and that becomes the disruptions.
Fantastic, fantastic. Next is Vikram, again a dear old friend. Vikram is right now the chief marketing officer for a company called Spartan, which is into construction machinery. Now, Vikram, this is essentially a B2B business, and even people like us who are architects deal into more of a B2B business, where advertising and marketing are words which we really don't understand. And what we understand is only sales. So my first question to you is, can you define what is marketing, advertising, business development, and sales in a B2B scenario?
Okay. First of all, good afternoon to everyone, and it's a pleasure to be amongst you all. Yes, Swapnil, it has been a predominant B2B being a sales-oriented sector. At Spartan, we have made it very defined functions of sales and marketing. So by sales, what we have done is we have a sales activation projects where we have a team which is into the immediate conversions and concentrate on the lead generation. So what all platforms do we include are the social media platforms and various direct marketing activities we do. So sales has been predominantly a field here, which is very strong in B2B. To have a branding support, we have developed a marketing communication in-house department, which looks into all the communication aspects of brand communication, product branding, and media relations and media publications and all activities. So there are various activities which we do on both sales and marketing, which go hand in hand, and they work cohesively. And it has certainly helped us. For example, we have participated in various expos like Expon. It is Asia's largest expo in construction and infrastructure industry. So we have been the lead sponsor. So this was a great milestone branding exercise which we did. So customer interaction, we have various campaigns run for the feedback, and marketing intelligence is done. So all these activities we do parallelly with the sales activities, which are more focused on the immediate lead generation, whereas marketing, we generally focus on the future customers. So we have all the activities ready in terms of even project tracking we do in-house. So we develop and demand is generated so that when our sales team goes to the market, we have the customer ready even in the future. So all these activities go hand in hand, and it works in a very cohesive function at Spartan. And it has given amazing results in last 10 years. We have won various national, international awards as well. We are amongst the top Indian company, I would be saying, to lead the construction equipment industry. As you are aware, this industry has been dominated by our neighbors, and few premium products are from European and American markets. So Spartan being a fully Indian company, we have made our mark in less than a decade, I suppose. So
that's very interesting. Very interesting.
Sales and marketing are cohesively worked upon.
Cohesively worked. I always felt that sales is always dominated in the B2B segment.
Right.
Madhu.
Yeah.
Hi. So Madhu, again, I have been knowing him for last more than 15 years, and anything that Madhu has brought in the market has always been a disruptor. Let it be a antibacterial laminates to the best of the designs, and the technology that Merino has always used has been always state of art, and Madhu has been a torch bearer in the laminate industry. Madhu, I suppose Merino is a market leader today. Am I right? Among the laminate industry. Now, I'm sure it must have been number 2 some point of time. Maybe some years back, I don't know where. But when you were number 2, what is it that made you number 1? And how was that journey? And how easy or difficult is to remain number 1?
Okay, good question. And thank you, Swapnil, for this good and great introduction. This effort at Merino is not just an effort from my side, it's an effort from a whole lot, the entire team at Merino. And so, of course, and we've worked very hard for it. And good afternoon to everybody out there. It's a pleasure talking here. And thank you to Global for having me here as well. Yeah, so to answer this question, of course, I mean, we've had to work our way to this, but then we've been driven by two things, which is very primary to us. It is the voice of the market that drives us, and B, it has to be guided by our philosophy, our corporate philosophy, so that it has to be within that mold. And I think that has stood us. That has been a very, very big strength for us in terms of how we want to do. So whatever we want to do, it has to be globally competent and competitive. And that has actually made us, it guides every way we work. And of course, from this, we kind of concentrated more on the basics, if you look at it. And these basics have led us. I mean, we were not focusing on any rat race to be a number one or to be the largest players. Of course, that is always there at the back of the mind. But it was always guided by doing the basics right. And I think that is where we have worked on. I mean, it's the product we have, and we can argue all about it, but we do have the best products in the country. And this is simply, it can be fathomed from the fact that, we have been the least advertised also in our domain. And despite that, we have the largest market share. It's only very recently when we started advertising a little bit more in terms of marketing, but we've had that because of the product, the strength of the product. And of course, we've concentrated also on the supply chain side. So we've got the technology, and we've always worked on the technology front to ensure that we are competing not just, for the Indian market, but for the global market. And in terms of the products also, that if our competition is on a global scale. So therefore, and the supply chain, these have been very important for us as we've concentrated. And of course, from the corporate philosophy side, I think one of the biggest reasons why we have been successful is not only the team at Merino, but all our stakeholders, be it the channel partners all across, or be it the people whom we supply material to, buy material to. I think one of the biggest factors that can represent our name, in fact, is trust. So I think we built that trust. It's taken a long time to do it, but and every day we continue doing so. As we rightly mentioned, it's all about relationships. So our relationships have tended to be long-term. We've not looked at short-term gains or any of these aspects across. So it's always been long-term, and that has really stood us good. So I mean, these are some of the factors that have really helped us. And of course, we have had to persevere. The other question that you asked about remaining out here, it's a responsibility. We feel that in this case, one of the major factors that we feel is that there is always going to be a potential in the market, and of course, but we have to align our people and the processes. So processes make for a very important aspect. We've one of the, again, coming back to the philosophy side of ours. We have to be, so we call ourselves as we have to be market driven, we have to be knowledge based, we have to be system sustained, these systems have to be IT enabled, and we have to be ethics anchored. So I think this has stood us, and we try to work and be guided by our philosophy at all time. So this would be my answer to you.
Madhu, one thing that I've always realized about Merino is you have benchmarked your product always at an international standard.
Yeah.
But the ethos of the organization have been traditional.
Yes.
You never went and got carried away by big marketing jargons that were there in West. You had your own evaluation and that.
Yes. So again, I just answer that with again, coming back to this, that the guiding principle in this has been that, we believe in the system sustained work culture of the West, but infused with the Indian values. So this has been one of the ways that we work. And I think this reflects in what we do also. So
it's a beautiful mix. It's a beautiful mix.
Meraj, let me tell you, I've been to their factory, and across all establishments, they start their day with national anthem in all the factories of Merino.
Wonderful. Wonderful.
I think a very interesting thing, global, act local. Eh?
Yeah.
Yes.
That's because, and trust me, all the local companies, I mean, even Welspun for that matter, would have a very traditional ethos.
Yes.
Although the products that they make are global.
Yes,
and
exactly.
that makes a difference. That gives
Exactly.
all these companies, way ahead. I mean, I use Merino predominantly because I know Madhu, and it's like a phone call away. One bubble in the laminate, I just need to call him, and people are there on the side. That's what I talk about that, and that's what is, the Indian ethos.
That's the trust that Madhu was talking about earlier. The name and the
All
trust.
of us work. I mean, it's just not me. The entire team at Merino works for this.
Right.
And attrition rate in Merino also has been very less. I've been seeing same people going out of Merino and coming back to Merino. You even don't understand when they left and they came back.
That also explains the ethos, I suppose. Swapnil, you said something very interesting.
Yeah.
That gives anecdote, and this is from advertising, but I thought it'll make things a little interesting because we are having a kind of free-flowing conversation. You mentioned that, at some point in time, Madhu would have been, or Merino would have been number 2, and now they became number 1. So in 1950s in America, there were 2 car rental companies, Avis and Hertz. Okay. So Avis was number 2 and Hertz was number 1. And they went to the great Mr. Bill Bernbach, the advertising guru who created advertising in the creative manner. He built advertising, Ogilvy and Bernbach. So they went to Bernbach and asked him, we are number 2, we want to become number 1. So he came up with just one line. We try harder because we are number 2.
Okay.
And that made them number 1. And they had to lose that line in the next 10 years because they became number 1. But
so I would say it's predominantly Madhu's relationships with people that would have really worked well. In relationship, I mean the inside organization relationships, outside organization relationships, and sustained ethos. Correct me if I'm wrong, Madhu.
Of course, this is a part of it. But just I'd like to add one thing. It's just not me. It's the entire team at Merino. And we all strive very hard for it.
Yes,
and
exactly.
I try to live up to the standards, that have been set up by, our founding, the founders of Merino and the other very senior people who are there working. They've set up very high standards, and I think the younger members like us have to really match up to it. And I we look forward to it. It's great.
It's creating legacy.
So there is something in the DNA which is transferred, generation after generation. I'm sure most of your generation people worked abroad, studied abroad, and then they are back into family business. And this rarely happens in this generation. So there is something in that culture which makes a difference.
That is correct. And we try to ensure that, we live up to it and we continue with it.
Fantastic. Meraj, one question to you. You are today operating in retail market as well as a B2B market. And the marketing demand for a retail market and a B2B market is completely different. How do you balance it?
So, okay, I'll take things step by step. So when 2.5 years ago, or 3 years ago, when we started on this journey, there was nothing. There was no entity called flooring for Welspun. Welspun, the name was there. So this whole idea came up, and then we thought we'll first do soft flooring, and then we thought we'll also do hard flooring. So we got in the SPC technology, stone polymer composite, and then we started, what do we do? So how do we brand it? How do we position it? What is it that the consumer should feel about it, and things like that? And that's when we decided. So we spent an entire 1 month or a couple of months doing the brand architecture, because Welspun Group is now a conglomerate. We are doing too many things. Like pipes be here, textile be here, towels be here, sheets be here. There is Spaces as well, which is a consumer brand. So what I did was we did a complete brand architecture. So mother brand and what are the other brands and what are the lines. That exercise we did. Then we said, should flooring have a different name? So we tried out interesting names like Tatwa and, all kinds of some foreign sounding names, some Spanish name and things like that. But then we realized that we have to build the brand, which is, if we're putting our money behind something, it should be behind the mother brand, because that's the brand we need to build. And the idea was, Welspun has made its, in terms of monies and stuff, we are in a very good position. But if you walk on the street of Meerut or Kanpur or any other city MP, ask somebody about Welspun, they will not know. They will know Tata, Birla, Reliance, because we have largely been in the B2B or export segment. So we decided to go ahead with the name Welspun. If we are putting money behind it, let's put the money behind the brand, the mother brand Welspun. So that's when the brand was created, Welspun Flooring. Now, Then we did a complete exercise of what should be the positioning purpose, what is our role in this world, why are we here? And that exercise was an extensive exercise I did with my creative agency for a period of 2-3 months. We did a countrywide research amongst architects, PMCs, even our senior management, Mr. Goenka and RRM, we spoke to them, what is the vision? And then we arrived at the entire purpose and positioning. The positioning is all about, how things are difficult when it comes to flooring and how we are going to change that. And that's when we came up with this whole idea of change for the better. And that translated, now change for the better is the holding thought. And that translates into, in Hindi, we needed a war cry because India is the country of war cry. Matlab badal, matlab बेच दे या फिर और दिखाओ इस तरह के लाइंस चलते हैं यहाँ पे. So if I have to get into B2C space, so that's when we came with the line called Badal Dalo. Because, this is a new way of doing things. I mean, so that's when the whole thing. So for B2B, we use the very posh, very, English sort of a thing because, architects like you are very posh and they expect things to be in a very classy way. So we use this change for the better. But when it comes to the communication towards the hard flooring, which is our SPC, which we call as click and lock tiles, we use the same thinking remains the same, but we use the Hindi version, language version of it, which is Badal Dalo. Now that's from the brand thinking and disseminating the brand point of view. When it comes to real sale part of it, and I'm not the best person, but I will take the role of the salesperson because I've been sitting with so many salesperson for the last so many years. So what we do, see, B2B is a relationship, as you just said. I mean, small set of people, top 200 architects, if you know, top 200 houses, your game is sorted. So it's a very, relationship building. You go talk to them, you get the right resources who are doing these, who have been doing it whether it's office furniture, whether it's, anything related to offices or whether they've been with companies like Print, and got people from companies which have been doing these things. So we started building those relationships. So it's a kind of, you pick up the phone, you do some meets, you participate in meets, events. Now the event industry is totally gone. Nobody wants to do any events and should not be doing, but we participated in those events, like even Aztec or even, something of that sort, or small events which keep happening across the country. We started doing that. So that's from the B2B perspective. From retail, we set up shops across the country. Today, we have 500 stores selling our product across the country, and we've achieved this in about 1 year's time. So we set up retail network. Secondly, we started doing a lot of activities in the digital media. So if you go to our LinkedIn page, Facebook or Instagram page, we are pretty active. And that is again something which solicits the B2C consumer a lot. I mean, suddenly I've been getting calls from my colleagues, ex-colleagues, so that, you guys are looking very good on the social media space. Now, even in this time when business is low, it's very important to maintain that high because it's perception. People will keep thinking that something is going on. Things are active. We can't lose that traction. So social media, we became very, very prominently a part of that entire piece and the digital piece. We started doing paid media, performance media. So, putting money behind certain posts. And when we did this whole launch in Hyderabad and Bangalore, digital launch with print outdoor, and then we put in money behind, digital piece, we got excellent results from that. I mean, the sale in those days increased by 3x in Hyderabad and 2.5x in Bangalore in those 3 months of activity. So, it's a different, and I'm also learning. I'm purely, largely a B2C person. As I said earlier, I'm from advertising. B2B is a new thing for me, and I'm learning, and it's pretty interesting. And you have to see B2B. If I was to philosophically divide it, B2B is very serious. You can't bullshit your way through B2C. You have to do the right, you have to say the right thing. You have to know the stuff. You have to put the ingredients out. You have to put the technology out. You have to put all the right things out because you're talking to a very discerning audience. They understand. They know their language. But when it comes to B2C, you can be a little clever, you can be a little interesting, you can be charming, you can be emotional. So, these two are very different streams which have to be handled. It's like mix of left brain and right brain, mix of heart and mind, whatever you call it.
So this is something very interesting. In B2C, this is a question which I'll ask to the entire audience. Today, something we're hearing is something called big data and analytics, where insurance companies are getting their agents away and they are actually extracting data on whatever you type on a Google search engine. I mean, there was a case which I heard some insurance company was making somebody take a policy and he had filled a form that is diabetic. And suddenly on his this thing computer, he started getting all the pop-ups of medicines for diabetics and things like that. Finally, that man filed a case against the insurance company, saying that while filling up your form, my data was hacked. Now, question to you guys is this being used in our industry? Where, you get those analytics and you can actually corner a particular consumer to buy your product. Vikram and Meraj, you could be the best guys to answer this.
Vikram, you want to go first?
Yeah. Fine, Meraj. Yeah, this is very much today's question, which is very predominant, and I think it is going to be the backbone of all the marketing activities, data analytics, and I think somehow each of us maybe we have been doing that in some or the other way, but now the definition and the results have changed the whole scenario. Now, whoever has the data and who has the data analytics and the study of it has the power to respond to the market changes, dynamics. They can respond to the future. They can predict the market tomorrow. All these things, I think, is the outcome of the data analytics. For example, I'll tell you, we ventured into concreting business. We are primarily into man and material handling equipment. So by using data analytics and working on the various aspects of the customer needs, customer behavior patterns and all, we thought that we can add value by entering into this industry, because this is an extension to what we are doing right now in so man and material. So the customer base is same, the requirements are similar, we can add to the product portfolio. So there is a large scope of business and market development through data analytics. So it tremendously works on business integration. It tremendously works on account management way, the way we interact with customers, the way we plan our product development, product innovations, which we do, and even the product cycle or the sales cycle. I meant the sales cycle is reduced to a larger extent. So it gives a high value to the customer, and with a low cost or with a low timeline which is involved in giving the benefits or value to the customers.
Viraj, you have to add something to it?
Yeah. Yes, Viraj.
Sorry, Swapnil, you said something?
I said, do you wish to add something to it?
Yeah, I mean, again, I'll take the example of Welspun flooring. See, the advantage of starting your company in 2018 or 17, a new entity, is that you're already cognizant of all the digital platform and things that are going around, which has been a problem with all the legacy companies. Today, they are kind of churning their wheels again and setting up how to handle this whole digital scheme of things. But if you're starting something in 2018 or 17, so we were very cognizant. So that's why we have already done CRM in a big way. So we've got Salesforce as our CRM platform. We are already we've got Pardot as our emailer platform. So these two things then we connected it back to our SAP. So everything is like totally connected in terms of what we are doing digitally. Plus and of course, that involves training a lot. I mean, the Salesforce, traditional Salesforce, they're not very well versed with these platforms. So nowadays we are trying to, and I'm taking not just big data, I'm taking the entire digital platform as the point here. So nowadays we've started making our presentations to senior management, not in PowerPoint, but we use the Salesforce tool, which is the CRM tool, to show that how the graph is changing, where we are selling, where we are not selling, why is the problem there. So suddenly it's like out in the open. Even the sales team is like, it's out. I mean, I cannot, and they all have to clock in every morning and clock out every morning. And so it's not easy. But
in fact, Atul,
I just want to add. In fact, in our industry, we are basically using the big data for a predictive maintenance. See, we have 106 plants across the country, and is a service-oriented business. Although it looks like a commodity, but there's a huge service differentiation because our product has to be delivered within hours. So if we cannot deliver within 4 hours, then the shelf life is only 4 hours. And 1 hour delay means is a big crime. So your flight can delay by 1 hour is acceptable, but if my transit mixer delayed by 1 hour is not acceptable. So very high level of expectation from a customer. So our plant maintenance is very, very crucial. So, and since it's a very scattered business, 106 plant across the country, so we are using the IoT, Internet of Things, for really building up a data and predictive maintenance of data, big data. Simultaneous for the risk also, because we are exposed to the large number of builders. So whether the credit worthiness of an individual is worth or not. So our exposure is so high, so we are using the big data for risk management. And now we are also thinking about even for building up a system by which we can predict the perception and, or I would say, how they perceive about a product and what should be a product innovation, what we should do it.
I'm sure you're going to predict the emotions also of the people very soon using big data. Perception, beyond perception is emotion.
Emotions, and we have to build up a product also. Product innovation can be done with a lot of big data because the change in our product is a tailor-made product. So what is in a demand now? That is very, very important for us. So that is the area.
Atul, one question to you. You know, since the complications that you're talking about your product, you know, cement is pure gray cement, and reaching it on a time is a very definitive, tangible delivery. Now, in such kind of a situation, you know, I'm sure your sales team do not have much option in terms of, you know, selling hard your product because your credibility, you know, says everything. So, in such a situation, how do you keep your sales team motivated? Selling cement is a very boring thing. It does not look good. It does not seem good. It does not feel good.
So, but without that, people cannot make a house, and that is always a dream house. Although it's a boring, but it's like your wife. You cannot live without her. Although it is a boring or not boring. Okay.
अतुल जी, इसमें एक मैं बोलना चाहता हूँ, जैसा आपने बोला, it's like, you know, your product can be boring, but the brand can be exciting.
Exciting, that's right.
Yeah.
So see, end of the day, see, we have to build up a ecosystem that our salesperson, who is our ambassador, because ultimately the brand is being known in the market not by the brand name, but people who receive or represent the brand. So they are the brand ambassador in the mind of a channel partner or even for the customers. So we have to build up a very strong situation where they get a respect from the customer.
Oh.
You are coming from the this company.
Oh, that's interesting.
Okay. So if you build up that thing in your mind, that my officer, when he goes to the shop, he gets the first seat. See, if only one chair is available and there are 5 officers are standing, if my trader or my channel partner only offer that chair to my officer, that's a number 1 preference. That if you can create, it's give a tremendous confidence to the individual person, and he built a pride in a community, his own community. So that's the first, I would always say, create a respect from the customer. And that is a responsibility of not only the sales officer, it's a whole company.
Madhu, so here we're talking about HR, you know, human resources management and performance management of sales and marketing team. Now, laminate also, you know, there are the industry, predominantly the construction industry itself, do not have an advertising people joining into marketing. You know, and there is always struggle to get best marketing people or the most creative brains to work for a construction industry, because products are not that exciting. Most of the people go to FMCGs. You know, how have you managed to get a good team in Merino for your sustained marketing?
Good question again. Thank you. So we actually, if you realize, you're right, it's not a very glamorous industry in comparison to a lot of other industries. And within this construction industry, the laminate or the segment in which we are was never as glamorous as many others. And as Merino, again, we have been pretty low key in advertising ourselves across until now. So it has definitely. But we've really seen one thing though, that if there's a little bit of patience, then it is possible to actually get a good team on board. And at the moment we are actually working towards it. We already have some very senior people on board now on marketing, and we've seen the difference in quality that this is bringing to the entire organization. Yes, so at Merino, for example, we've taken this whole process, being a totally promoter driven organization, to actually now institutionalizing a little bit more, and moving towards a greater institutionalization, which requires us to, while remaining promoter driven, to have the good professional space in there with specialists doing the roles that are required of specialists, and a little bit of patience. We have seen that actually we are able to get the talent. And then of course I'm sure some of it is our own, like I go back to that whole point, the trust that we built also probably may be attracting a lot of people. However, to keep them exciting, we have to always, there's a good challenge to continuously innovate and look at how we can ensure that the team is challenged, feels excited about the prospects, so this I feel is a big challenge. It has to compete for talent, for sure. There's a lot more ops than strategy. There's a lot more field work involved in a large part of activities than is sitting at the desk. Right now, though, it's a different matter. But in general, so therefore, yes, in a generation, especially if you look at the youngsters who are coming up, instant gratification is something which is there right now amongst the younger people, and to keep them, but along with it is of course that the ability to work hard. I mean, the younger generation can also plug in, their aspiration levels are there, and so it's a good unique combination actually to have the right kind of team. And I think a large part of it is to do with how we can patiently and with the purpose in mind actually plan the whole thing.
Atulji, you have been having multiple products in your portfolio, apart from just RMC cement. And always for a company, it's important to de-risk or decide marketing budgets for these different products. Like I don't know much, not being from a management background, but I've always heard about something called a BCG matrix, where some are your cash cows and some are your stars. So in your kind of a field, in your kind of industry, how do you de-risk yourself by pushing some products more, which are high margin products, pushing some products less, and how do you manage that through your sales team?
See, I would say that we have to create, first of all, look at from the external point of view. See, ultimately, we have to create a value for our customer. And as a salesperson, our sales team should be smart enough to charge the value what we create. Because charging the value is a profitability for which the company exists. So it's totally depend upon how much value you are creating, and that value is a different from a different market with a different customer. So we did a lot of detailed study and see that which product should be pushed where, and that selection of the product is totally on the base of the requirement of the customer. We do not want to push the product which is not irrelevant to the customer. So relevancy to the customer is most important, and then how much he is creating a value. Now, same product, maybe in one market, has creating a lot of value, we charge more price. So it's totally depend upon the market to market scenario, point number one. And when we talk about the pricing is not only the one, is not so simple. It's also depend on how the competitors' behavior in that market what is the affordability of the customer in that market. So all these things what we are considering. So coming back to your question, that how do we really decide which product to be and budget allocation will be done. I would say budget on resources where we allocate on the basis of the potential of the product and how much the people are ready to pay for it. That we decide. And
you
then
don't go into the markup philosophy that if this is a price that
we are not you're
going to perceived value of the
we
product.
are basically is a blending of cost plus, market driven, and value pricing. There is a combination of the three basic principle of pricing we follow. See, like in entry level, definitely we do not want to lose money. See, even if I say when I insist for the value based pricing, but under no circumstances I want to lose out on cost plus pricing. So cost plus is our minimum benchmark. Value base is our dream number, and marketing or market competitors decides or they compete us to sometimes passing on more value what we have created to the marketplace. So it's a combo of a three pricing to really decide on price.
Fantastic. Meraj, you guys have put up a huge factory, and you're competing with a lot of channel partners who are pure traders, and they can afford to give any kind of price discount into this kind of a market. And having invested so much, I'm sure your promoters would be expecting an exponential growth because you have everything here vis-a-vis the people who are simply buying from China or from Thailand or from any part of the world and just sending it into a B2B market. So to have an exponential growth, I'm sure you would have planned organic and inorganic strategies to grow the market. Can you throw a light upon this? That is this what your organization is expecting or planning an exponential growth? And what are disruptive ways of increasing your market share?
Okay, so see, from the B2B perspective, if I was to tell you, I'll start with that. The products that we are selling are not new. India as a country, and of course, even in the global marketplace, carpet tiles and wall-to-wall carpets are standard. I mean, people are aware of it. Those who want it, they can get it. There are players who've been doing it. So I will keep that aside because that process is purely on relationship. And then again, you go on and make the quality product. We got the best machines from the world and we are doing that. We've got Milliken and Shaw and Interface coming to our plant in Hyderabad. They saw the machines, they love the products, they are interested in buying from us. And we are also okay with selling to them as OEMs so that they can put their brand, sell some business is business. So whichever way it comes. So I'll keep that aside because that I know will be running and it's a game which we are also aware of. We have done this with other streams like home textile and stuff. We'll do this. The interesting game is the product that we have launched in the market called Click and Lock Tiles, which is the name that we have given it. It's a product called SPC, Stone Polymer Composite, which has been there in the system for the last 5 years in the international market as well. It's right now in the US, it's climbing at a rate of 20% growth year on year, and which is very fantastic. So that is the disruptive product that we have brought in, and the big 2-3 aspects of that product is it's a thin plank. I mean, you guys would know, and they fit into each other, tongue and. And a typical Mumbai-sized house can be done in 1 day's time, and without mess, without noise, without you stepping out of the house for 15 days, without staying in a hotel or without staying at a relative's place and stuff like that. So this product is itself a disruptive product, is what we think, and we're confident. And wherever we have done the installation, we've got very positive results so far. Interestingly. 30 days back, we did an installation at a social media influencer's house in Delhi. It was a kind of a barter in which we gave flooring and she gave us the sound bites on social media. And she was amazed that things were done in a day's time and everyone we were very, very keen or very, very sure about the fact that we need to do a very hygienic installation. So everyone, the installers, went in their PPE kit, sprayed the entire product in front of her, did the installation, sprayed the entire product. So all that she captured on the video. She's put it on social media. That's getting a lot of traction. So, these are the disruptive things that we are doing. And I think from the communication perspective also, we roped in Amitabh Bachchan, who is the best face. Even at this point in time, there's nobody like him in this country who can communicate something big and important. I mean, it's strange. At this age, he's doing this, and he does it with such amazing grace. I mean, I just take a little bit of diversion here. When I met him to take him through the script, he looked so frail and old. I was scared whether he'll be able to do it on the day of the shoot or not. But the day of the shoot, he arrives at 11. He leaves at 7. He did 6 films for me in those hours, 11 to 7, including a photo shoot. So anyway, that's beside the point. But the point is that we have taken AB to communicate the message. I think things have come out right. So these are the disruptive techniques. The product is disruptive. The communication, if it is disruptive, and the channel, if you're using the platforms in which you're communicating, if it's disruptive and if it's available across the country in the right way, I think we are on a good path. And
you are looking at evangelism as a way of, disrupting the market.
Sorry?
Evangelism.
Yes.
Social media influencer.
Social media, mainline, taking AB, the product itself, it's disruptive. All these things combined will...
Now, one question which I always ponder, Madhu and you possibly are trying to reach the same audiences or same target market. But it has never happened in our industry that two brands have collaborated together in terms of market research or, co-branding or anything like that. Madhu, do you see this kind of a thing happening with the COVID situation, which is happening, markets going down? The best way is to bring your fixed costs down, is collaborating at least at the back end in terms of market intelligence or some strategies. Since there is no conflict of interest between both the products, go hand in hand.
I'd say it is possible. Whether we'll have to see how it works, but it is very much possible. And I think these kind of innovative thoughts and out of the box thoughts will keep coming now as things evolve. And like-minded companies, of course, you got to understand that the chemistry of the two organizations must match in order to do certain things like this. But I'm sure it will. But we may see even coordination or greater alliances happening. It is a big possibility if Toyota and Suzuki could do this, manufacture out of each other's plants. A lot of things can happen, and I'm sure, because whether you talk about any industry that may have spare capacity, for example, in their manufacturing facilities and so on, whereas some companies keep adding capacities and so on. Ultimately, all these things will catch up in some way or the other as the industry starts organizing or getting more organized. And I feel that certain forums, even forums like this, could perhaps lead some good associations which are mutually beneficial for companies to come together. And ultimately, it is it has to suit everybody, including the stakeholders, but most importantly, the customer. If it is going to add value to the customer, I'm sure a lot of things can happen.
There could be schemes that you buy Merino and you get 20% discount on Meraj's products.
Yeah, so it's very much different things are possible in order to leverage each other's channel strengths and so on. But
yes,
for sure, I feel that we may see a lot of out of the box alliances or strategic working together happening. So this is likely to happen. How much between direct competitors, I do not know, but surely a lot of these things are expected. Yeah.
So I look forward where all of us can collaborate with each other, and
sure.
Certain things can work out. It has been a great session. We are off the time now, and there are some questions which are there from audiences. Can you see those questions?
I just actually answered a couple, but yes.
So anybody would like to take a question among this? Anybody would prefer any question?
Yeah, I have one actually. I just want to ask. Suppose there are a lot of different definitions of an H2H, and this was asked by, I'll just check who it was, asking for some opinion on how the future of H2H is. Mr. Gopal Krishna, if he could just perhaps type it down. What did he mean by this H2H? I think I'll be able to take that question and answer it.
H to H.
Yeah, it could be heart to heart. Normally H to H conversations. I do not know, but
You're talking the millennial language
Heart to heart.
or Gen Z
Human to
language,
human.
heart to heart.
Gen Z. Yeah. Gen Z.
Okay, so yeah, so it is.
Yeah, in fact, one question is being raised on me, so I'm just responding.
Please, Atul.
Then in a COVID situation, I think is already been covered. See, in its current scenario where the pressure from the price and costs, both the side, the company is facing, when the customer is not ready to pay more for the price, at the same time the cost is going up. In this situation, in manufacturing, company has to really think about asset utilization to the highest level. Our asset has to sweat. And what Madhu has rightly said, that more and more collaboration and utilization of somebody's spare capacity. So outsourcing manufacturing will be the time to come. In our business, where the transportation is a very, very crucial, where we own our own transportation, there is a sharing of assets, sharing of pumps, because we deliver and place the concrete. So the sweating of asset is one strategy will work. So that is a way we can reduce the cost.
Meraj, there's one question from another friend of mine called Vibhor. Vibhor is a media person from advertising background. He's saying that in this challenging time, what's your focus and thrust on advertising and marketing? I mean, he's asking us that, are you really going to spend on advertising and marketing in this slowdown situation?
Yeah, so in fact, very pertinent question in the sense that we've been, the moment this hit us, we were ready with a big bang campaign with, as I said, with the celebrity and stuff. But when COVID happened, we went back to the drawing board and realized what needs to be done. So we took 1 month of strategizing and with everyone, the senior management involved in it. And of course, the answer lies and we saw the graph of how people are consuming media platforms. And of course, digital has gone through a huge increment in terms of the usage. Those who were on the digital platform for, let's say, 1 hour or 1.5 hours each day, they've started spending 4 hours. And I'm talking all the platforms put together. And that gave us the entire indication towards where we should be headed in these difficult times. Of course, we have our assets ready, which is the communication assets ready, but we have tilted our budgets towards the digital platforms. And close to, I would say the entire kitty, close to 35 to 40% is what we will be focusing on digital. I'm taking print absolutely out of the scheme of things almost, because print is anyway very expensive platform anyway. Television, I'm still toying, because if you have to build a brand with a stature, it's still television which does it, if you ask me. But even there, what we are doing currently is that we are trying to align with things like Hotstar, because people, only news consumption has increased on television by about 57%, but rest of the content is not being lapped up in a big way because they're not creating new content. It's the old content which is being rehashed. So news is something in television which we should be looking at, but otherwise digital is the way forward. And, of course, Netflix and Amazon, they are very big, but they are not open to advertising. They're not advertising platforms yet. So things like Hotstar and Z5 are still open to, advertising platforms.
But Meraj, there's so much of content on digital today.
Yeah.
That attention span on digital for an audience is very less.
Yes.
And suppose the price that you're paying for that is absurd.
Yes.
Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yes. No, so in the digital, the good thing is that, earlier it was like, you advertise and you don't know what's happening. In the digital scheme of things, it's pretty simple. You get your cost per leads, you get how many leads you got, and you can keep on fine tuning it. Every week you can keep on tuning it. That's what I'm doing currently. It's like a map. It's like that movie which you would have seen with Tom Cruise in it and futuristic. He's always mapping things. So I'm seeing, okay, on this platform, I got this number with this much of money spent. So what do I do? On Instagram, my video is being watched completely, but on Facebook, they are not watching it completely. So how should I direct my entire money towards Instagram, or should I go to GDN, which is Google?
So it's in the moment marketing, real time.
It's a continuous puzzle that I'm solving. At times I get tired, but it's very interesting also, and I mean,
Vikram has
Vikram
to
will
add
add to it,
something.
I suppose, because
Miraj, thank you. I just wanted to add one point. Talking about digital marketing, I think we are into a phase of participation. That we are participating in digital media by putting posts, by creating page and that. So this is the phase I think we are in right now. So everyone is there on digital marketing. The second phase which I would follow is the engagement. Now the engagement would start. Whereas now what is happening is that there's a one-way communication. Now there would be an engagement from the audience as well as the advertiser. So this, I think, engagement phase is picking up, and post-COVID, I think that would enhance and that would increase the probability of more engagement, and then it would turn into maybe prospective business or collaboration.
So true, Vikram, because, you know, last 1 month, my engagement rates of my posts, whether I put the installation post that I did installation in such and such place, or whether it's a design story that I'm telling, my impressions have increased to 5,000, and 5,000 happens in 12 hours. Mind you, it's unseen before. I'm like amazed what's going on, and I've not put a single penny on it. It's organic.
Yeah.
So
you're
so right.
That's amazing.
There's another interesting question. You know, B2B platform, people only think that it's only LinkedIn. You know, so there's a question that are there any more B2B platforms? How do they perform and why? Anybody can take this question up. Atulji, because you deal with B2B more.
I just missed the question.
Sorry?
If you don't.
I
just
said,
missed.
What B2B platform do you think will perform and why? So the question is, only LinkedIn is the platform that most of the people know. Beyond LinkedIn, are there any B2B platforms?
As of now, I don't think we are much on the social media. As of now, we are thinking.
Meraj?
So, you know, 2 platforms, I would say, especially in our industry, is that one is, of course, Instagram. I'll tell you why, because a lot of designers and architects, they go for inspiration to Instagram. Instagram is a platform for aesthetics, good looking stuff, beautiful stuff. Nobody puts out bad stuff out there. And if as a brand, you should look beautiful on Instagram. You can be informative on Facebook and LinkedIn, but Instagram is a thing which should look absolutely classy. So Instagram is where a lot of architects and designers go. And that's a good platform for B2B because inspiration comes from there. The other platform is Pinterest. Although Pinterest is not very big in India, globally, all the designers follow Pinterest. So these 2 platforms, and Instagram is doing very well for us from the architects and designers perspective. In fact, we have roped in Masaba for a talk show with the best designers and architects of the country, which will be hosting on Instagram. Because Insta is the platform where, you know, you have the fan following, and it's strange how it evolved. It started off as something which is very, very passion driven for people, their photography, their travel and things like that. But now it has become a business platform. You can do business using Instagram. So, you know, I think that's another very big platform which should be utilized apart from LinkedIn.
Yeah, Swapnil, can I add to your question about B2B digital marketing, as you said, LinkedIn? So most of the times what happens is that we go with the mostly social media marketing sites like Facebook, LinkedIn, or Instagram for that matter. But there are various portals or sites which are very specific to B2B section. One example I can give is Quora. Now Quora, if you've seen, is a tremendous potential for marketers to catch the audience, because it's a very engaging and exchange of knowledge and information happening there. So Quora for B2B is one of the best, and I've seen the results because even if the conversion is less, the conversion is the quality conversions what you get, and you have the prospects of getting the right good businesses because it's of sharing of knowledge and information. So you're not selling anything as such, but you are adding value to your customer's processes or his questions or functions. So Quora is a great platform I can suggest other than LinkedIn, which you suggested.
That's a good idea.
I think it was a fantastic conversation. I would like to have one closing statement from each one of you. How did you feel it? And we should end after that. Thank you very much. Atulji, I would like to start with you. One closing statement. How did you feel? And what is it that you want to say to the audience?
Very exciting, and I would say is all of us has to really create a value for our customers, and let's charge the customers well so we can survive during the COVID time.
Madhu, over to you.
I think it was a wonderful session. A lot of learning for me. Absolutely, it was wonderful. And I thank you again and thank Global again and all the panelists here. Wonderful experience. A lot of things to learn. I've taken a few notes. I hope I'll be able to do justice to that as well.
We were noticing it, Madhu, while you were taking your notes.
No, but that's how Madhu is. Meraj, would like to hear from you.
Well, as everybody is saying, wonderful interaction. A Saturday well spent, 1 hour very well spent, I would say. Under these stressful times, on the back of the head, we are all stressed. I know it's a reality around us, and I don't know how things are going. Nobody knows how things are going to shape up. But this was a kind of stress reliever.
It is 80 minutes, not 1 hour.
Almost 80 minutes. So wonderful session. Thank you all of you, and thank you Global webinar series. And I would like to say that let's be positive, let's be happy, let's be positive about how things will shape up. There's only one way to go ahead, which is being positive. We learned how to cook. I learned how to cook. I learned how to clean. So we'll do new things, and we'll do new, interesting, innovative things to go through these tough times. And that's how, that separates boys from men, or whatever you use. You go through it in a positive way, and you'll come out positive.
Sure.
That's the only way. Stay safe and stay happy.
Vikram?
Yeah. Thanks a lot, all of you. I was very pleased to be amongst all of you. I decided that I'll learn something today, come whatever. So how I perform, what topics we speak about was very secondary. What primary was to learn something new and learn from you guys. So I had a great time conversing with you all. And here I would like to say about is as post-COVID, lot of people are predicting a lot of things. So it's I have been doing this in this way, would change to new ways. So I think we have to be new in accepting the new normal. So thanks a lot, and have a wonderful day ahead.
For me, it was a really insightful conversation, because being an architect, you hardly know anything about marketing. But whatever I heard today was like a gospel truth. And I really enjoyed. I'll stay connected to you all and really look forward for more sessions. Thank you very much, Global. It was exciting. And thank you very much for getting this wonderful panelist out here. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Guys.
Thank you, audience.
We had a wonderful. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, audience. Take care. Bye. Thanks, Madhu, Atul, Vikram.
See you sometime.